Welcome back. It's still the morning brief right here on Channels Television. And we're set to get right into our first conversation for the day. But before that, don't forget that the question of the day, the portals for you to answer the question of the day are still open. So what's it? How would you assess the 10th National Assembly on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you assess the performance of this 10th National Assembly on a scale of 1 to 10? Remember the parameters: representation, legislation, and oversight, holding the executive to account. So that's the question of the day. You can reach us via email, on WhatsApp, and of course on X using the hashtag CTV Morning Brief. All right, so that's settled. Time now to kickstart our first conversation. And of course, we're reflecting on the important issues shaping the polity. Either it's be legislation, the assessment of the National Assembly after 2 years of legislative business. Remember that, they're also marking inauguration, I believe, on June the 10th. And of course, there are other issues as well, shaping the polity, the campaigns by the administration, ahead of the 2027 election, the door-to-door posters, seen across the nation, and so much more. So joining us on this particular segment, we have Mr. Rambi Ayala. Yes, Mr. Rambi Ayala is an APC Chieftain, and he's also a former NNPP chairman in Gombe State. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayala. Okay, I'm told that Mr. Ayala is not there yet. We'll have Mr. Ayala as soon as possible. We also have joining us a spokesperson of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Mr. Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba, who'll be joining us shortly on the program. But, Jeffrey, there's so much to reflect on as we look at the state of the nation this morning. I'm wondering about the intentionality, with which the administration has commenced the campaign of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for re-election in 2027. Take a look at the posters. They're not, posters that will be put up by supporters, with any form of levity or with ease. This is, something that has to do with mobilization of resources, mobilization of time, and, a project embarked upon by, a political group. But we see that the administration has also distanced itself, from this and asked the supporters to stop putting up the posters. So I'm wondering, there's a disconnect between, the dissociation of the administration, by the presidency to be precise, from those posters, and the seriousness with which the supporters are carrying on, with putting up the posters.
For me, I think that there is nothing wrong with supporting anyone.
Absolutely.
Let's put that in context. There are people that admire the president. There are people that don't want to see him be president. So it's all, no matter who had won, it's the same thing. And especially this election was very keenly contested. As a matter of fact, there were more people that didn't want Bola Tinubu to be president. By the numbers, about 14 million when you had Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar and Rabiu Kwankwaso. So if you put their numbers together, they came to about 13, 14 million people, as against Bola Tinubu's 8.7 million. So if it was a parliamentary system, he wouldn't have been president. But it's a presidential system. The laws are simple majority, and then two-thirds in all the distribution, 25% in two-thirds of the states of the federation. So there will always be people that will be overreaching, overbearing, overzealous in that sense, not making excuses for them. But where it is interesting is to the effect that it's not just about talking to say, oh, don't start campaigning. Well, you've stoked the fire. I don't know whether it is because of how the coalition, whether it's going to succeed or not, has been moving. So the APC had to do something quickly to stamp themselves, which is why. So when on one hand you're saying, oh, don't put out posters, it's not campaign season yet, but you endorsed him at your national summit. You're speaking from both sides of your mouth. Endorsement for a second term, you've already started campaign, you've already told everyone, let's be clear, 2 years ahead of the time, in case you want to run for president on the platform of the APC, maybe you have to check another party. So that in itself is campaigning in a way. And then another part is to the effect, I saw somebody sent me a video. I wish we could put out that video. I hope we can. Picture of, I think they call it door-to-door, something.
Absolutely.
For Bola Tinubu. It's simple. If you say they should not start all of this campaign and all of this move towards electioneering 2 years ahead of time, Minister Wike is very good at, getting things done. So they can just go and remove all those things. You don't need to announce to anyone. You don't need to tell them, don't do it. No, that would sound like hypocrisy. They are lined up on the lamppost, or what we call poles in Nigeria. You've seen them on the poles. And those poles belong to the federal government or the state government or the government in general. So just go there, remove it, and tell them, please don't do this again.
And we have the Lagos State Signage Agency,
I'm talking about the one I saw in Abuja.
I'm talking about the ones in Lagos. There are some in Lagos too. If you go on Third Mainland Bridge, you find, in fact, if you go on the island, you find some of these posters as well. So we have a Lagos State Signage Advertisement Agency, that can, be asked to move in and take down those posters. If indeed the presidency is serious about its statement that, it's not campaign season, this is not the right time to begin to campaign for the president, you can take out the posters. So let's see the position of the presidency backed up with action. But, just to reiterate that there is absolutely nothing wrong with expression of support for any government at all or any aspiration of any individual. But it's just, the appropriateness or the propriety of the deployment of campaign at this season. Is it distracting from governance? What are the real issues of governance, the real conversations, the debate about the economy that we should be having at this point in time? So that should be, what is dominating conversations, what should be on the front burner, at this point in time. But while we wait, to expand that conversation a little further, let's find out what you're saying about some of the big stories or the trends on social media. Jeffrey, you have the first one.
Yes, let's get to talk about some of the things that you've been talking about. And the biggest has to be with what Alin Dume said. Alin Dume was, we talked about, it was on one of the dailies, I think, a New Telegraph, it took it as a headline, where he was assessing the performance. So if you know Senator Alin Dume, he doesn't mind, no matter who's ox his God, he will speak his mind. So let's take a listen to him, what he said in that particular interview with our colleague, Shemo Kimbale.
Voice vote was, I was there for a summit. And when I realized that it was not a summit, and the voice vote was put about the endorsement of Mr. President, I just left. And that does not mean I'm not an APC member. Because Jonathan had 22 governors then endorsing him like we did now. And what happened? Jonathan lost woefully. And even that time, what happened? A lot of money was spent, over 2 billion or whatever. And then even the election was sifted. But we are not learning our lesson. And I pity Mr. President for this kind of a thing. Even though he came out one time that this is not time for campaign, we should not be campaigning. But you have already seen the problem now. You go out there and say you are endorsing Mr. President. And when the rumors came out that, the National Assembly members also and this thing are going to be given automatic ticket, the party came out to say, we are not giving them automatic ticket. So who is going to be the foot soldier?
That's a very strong question he asked. Who is going to be the foot soldier? So, and I think that at this point, INEC has a responsibility to do the needful for any party that is adjudged to be campaigning. I think that's INEC's work, right? Job, Abby. So if INEC adjudges some of these moves, because the way politics works, so when it's not campaign season, they don't use the word votes. They use the word support. They use all kinds of terms aside vote. Because if you use votes, INEC is going to come for your head. But INEC should learn that politicians have learned to fly.
Politicians have learned to beat the law, right?
Nigerian politics is interesting. It's very interesting. Anyway, they will not use the word votes, but they'll use every other word that references support for a person or a group of persons or a political party. So whether it's the APC, the PDP, or whatever. But the ones we have seen are mostly APC. So whatever, anybody INEC finds, APC, PDP, Labour, NMPP, and the remaining ones, go after them. That's your job as a people. But it's so sad that I personally, I don't feel happy, even if I cover politics, because controversy is good business sometimes. Anyway, but this is a time we should be holding government to account. We should talk security, governance issues around the economy, the debate about crashing or dropping of prices. There are so many things we can discuss, not whether Bola Tinubu has a chance or he doesn't have a chance, what is happening with Atiku or not.
Well, beyond, just to say that Senator Ali Ndume re-echoed the appropriateness of, campaign at this point in time. But beyond that, Senator Ali Ndume is a member of the All Progressives Congress, but he doesn't mince words, as you have said. You remember his kakistocrat comments, on another platform. But the criticism of the party from within, how the party will respond to this, and where exactly is his position as far as the All Progressives Congress is concerned. He disagrees with the policies, he disagrees with, the handlers of the office of the president. He talks about access to the president, but where exactly does he stand as far as 2027 is concerned, and as far as the APC government is concerned? I wonder how the party will respond in the long term to his continued criticism. But that's the beauty of democracy. Disagreements are allowed. If you disagree with the administration, what alternative debate are you offering, alternative views are you offering as far as how governance should be approached, how the economic policies should be implemented, what are the alternative ideas that you're offering? But it's good to see how this unfolds, and in the short term and in the long term, of course, we'll keep tabs with comments from Senator Ali Ndume. But there's more to come as far as what you're saying on videos from the front page is concerned.
Guests are ready for us now, so get to the guests because you have them. Because we have a lot to talk about with the guests and the trends as well. So let's get to our very first conversation of the day, Bukola.
Yes, indeed. We have joining us now Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba, spokesperson of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Thankfully, Prof, we have you now. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
A very good morning to you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. So the conversation is taking a life of its own already. We've begun talking about the surfacing of campaign posters across the country. They're in Abuja, they're in Lagos, and I believe in other parts of Nigeria as well. We're reflecting on the propriety of those posters, although they do not necessarily say vote, but should they be coming at this point in time, Prof?
It's disappointing. We thought there are more pressing issues than starting campaign posters all over. Now, of course, the supporters of the regime will say that, it's done without the permission, it's made by supporters, but it's still campaign posters. It's everywhere. They assault you in the streets, the billboards and everything. But we think there are more pressing issues. What will sell any party is not posters, it will be their performance in office. Or if they're coming for the first time, their promises and how people assess them. In general, I think the party should not try to play with the intelligence of the electorate, saying that, oh, we have not started the campaign, these are done by people on their own. No, it's not true. I mean, it doesn't make sense. There is definitely a campaign going on, and it's very serious. If you add other actions, that will tell you that, the campaign has started already in all but name and so on. Nobody is foolish.
What should be the role of the Independent National Electoral Commission at this point in time? Are there blurry lines between, what is being done now and what should not be done when it's not campaign season?
Well, there is definitely a role for the Electoral Commission, But of course, it depends on how the campaign is being mounted. It's easy to deny that, no, we have not formally declared a campaign. We just talked about statements of intention, declaration of support by supporters, and so on. But let's face it, it is a campaign in full swing. And it shows a party desperate desperate for propaganda, desperate for communication, so that the issue at hand is confused with what needs to be done. Rather, it is what the party intends to do. We take our eyes off governance. We take our eyes off performance, and we are now putting it on intentions to campaign, and that's all. And it's very unfortunate.
All right. Mr. Rambi Ayala has since joined us. He's a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress and former chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party in Gombe State. Mr. Ayala, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I'm sure you've been listening to the thoughts of Professor Tukur Muhammad Baba, who says that the intensity of the campaigns now, both in action and in words of your party, shows desperation. How do you respond?
Well, thank you, Ms. Bukola, and thank you, Jeffrey. We are glad to be here and having a democracy that is working under the able leadership of Mr. President, who has been a thoroughbred statesman and somebody that has worked tirelessly for the development of our democracy in Nigeria. I mean, I think naturally what is happening today is out of sheer excitement of Nigerians that democracy has come to stay, democracy is thriving, democracy is moving as it should. And then the APC as a government building on this for so far late. Mr. President is carving a new niche. He's trying to deepen steady the country, steady our democracy, steady the economy, as the case might be. So for me, of course, naturally, not only in Nigeria, globally, I mean, the first 2 years is 2 years of governance. And once this governance, as we could see, Mr. President came and hit the ground running, accepting the fact that he has inherited both liability and assets, and then trying to ensure that the promises he has made so far during the campaign is brought to fore, and he is doing exactly what he has promised that he would do to ensure that our economy is steady, which reflects on day one when, of course, during the campaign, each of the presidential candidates did make commitment that we need to move up. We need to really put our country on the trajectory of development by ensuring that subsidy is removed and market forces come to play. Given the fact that oil is the mainstay of our economy, and then begin to diversify the economy, which is exactly what Mr. President is doing. Also giving the necessary thriving environment for private sectors, just as we've seen recently, the Dangote conglomerate have been given the opportunity to be able to do some of the things they are doing in order to deepen our economy and in order to ensure that as a country, we are getting it right. So talking about the excitement, this is not out of maybe out of concern or out of fear that maybe the APC is not doing the appropriate thing as far as the country is concerned. Naturally, like I did mention, that in a country such as Nigeria, and then take it beyond the shores of Nigeria, I mean, after 2 years of, in a democratic setting, after 2 years, naturally you begin to see the political aspect of democracy beginning to come into play. And then we begin to also prepare for another round of election. By the way, naturally, immediately after any first round of election, another round of election, preparation begins, preparation commences. And so for me, and then there is nothing that is new that is happening. And come to think of it, is it maybe which of the political parties will APC be concerned that maybe that we cannot get it right when it comes to election? Is it the PDP that is totally in disarray, which is going into total which they are contending with democracy. I mean, and they try to blame it on the APC sometimes, which is an internal problem they have failed to manage. But for the APC, under the leadership of Mr. President, the party is very steady. The country as a whole is, we are getting it right based on global ranking. I mean, some of the indices that we are seeing as far as our country is concerned. So I think taking it from that level, APC as a political party under the leadership of Mr. President, I mean, as a country also, you would agree with me that we are getting it right.
All right. So the question everybody seems to ask, since we cover a lot of politics, we understand how this dynamics works. But one of the things we're trying to do is to sieve out all of the noise and bring a bit of substance to the conversation. Nigeria is so much in this. We've been in dire strait for a very long time. We're trying to fix our country. All political parties are saying we have the answer. Right now, APC is at the helm of affairs saying these are the answers we're providing. And so, from where you sit, shouldn't we be focusing on the answers that APC is providing rather than get immersed in the politics as it is going on right now? Because literally everywhere you turn, what are the kinds of questions that are being asked? Because every time people seek power, to get power, to grab power, whatever word is being used, is to say, we have alternative ideas to the economic problem you're facing, the political problem you're facing, the security problem you're facing, and the list is on. And so this is supposed to be time for interrogation for us. So from where you sit, even as a citizen of Nigeria, beyond being a party man, shouldn't we be focusing on performance right now than on campaigning?
Well, Mr. Geoffrey, like I did mention, that only recently Mr. President was in Lagos, and I guess he's still in Lagos before even the break, the Salah break. He asked actually some of the plans, roads are being, serious infrastructures are being awarded by this government. There's nothing that has stopped as far as the APC government under Mr. President is concerned. Day in, day out, he is focused the blueprint that Mr. President came on board with it. He is unfolding it and he's following it tenaciously, and things we are getting it right. I mean, the indices, like I did mention, there may be some pains for us to get it right. And I think these are some of the pains that maybe successive administrations have been trying to avoid. But Mr. President has taken the bold step to take us through so that at least we can now see the harmonization of the forex windows, among other issues that has been brought to the fore, bringing also the tax reform, new tax reform. Of course, naturally, you would agree with me that before now, hitherto the tax that we have in the tax laws that we are having over time is something that we've been operating under a very obsolete tax regime. And then Mr. President is trying to bring it in sync with modern trend, in sync with modern reality. These are governance issues that not a day passes that the APC government has not really done what it ought to be. And to be frank, I am speaking from the Northeast. You would also agree with me that the security issues, yes, like not only in Nigeria, these are issues that we face globally. Every country has its own fair share of security issues. But you would agree with me that today, I mean, from day one, when Mr. President came into power, there has been a drastic reduction in some of the challenges security-wise. Yeah, one is not saying that maybe we still don't have some of these security challenges. How about the economy? The economy, yes, we may be going through some of these pains, like I did mention, but hey, certainly we will get it right. I mean, given the pace at which Mr. President is going and the consistency in some of these well-thought-out policies have been churned out for as Nigerians. But you will always have politicians who would also not want to major on the real issues. They would always want to distract and maybe begin to, instead of, for instance, security issues is one issue that nobody should play politics with it. I mean, over time, sometimes people try to play politics with security, and it's one issue that should be at the front burner, whether you are in APC, PDP, Labour, whichever party. We have a country to steady. We have a country to contribute towards ensuring that we live.
My apologies. Let's also allow Prof come into the conversation. Prof, so as you can hear, Ms. Ayala, this is a consistent conversation. The people in government have always had said, if you look at some of the economic fundamentals, I'm using my words carefully, some of the economic fundamentals, they are in the right direction. So I can tell you for a fact, one thing the government has to be praised for is the debt service to revenue. However, it was reduced from 90-something to about 60 or 40%. That's a great one. Our excess, our foreign reserve has also increased, but we're still fighting issues around. And then, of course, the issue of the FAC allocation, the federation, the one they share across the different tiers of government, from federal to state to local government, it has increased exponentially in terms of, in Naira terms. So sometimes it gets as much as 1.7 trillion, 1.8 trillion. So these are some of the gains they have said that pushes money into the system. But on the flip side, we have issues around high interest rate, high inflation, high unemployment, lived-in experience. We're still waiting for the MBS to release the National Living Standards Survey, which will exactly show us the quality of lives of Nigeria. Our GDP per capita is very low. So there are positive and negative sides of all the impact of the reform. But the truth is that the compounding effect has not gotten here yet. So when they put out this narrative to you, Prof, how do you respond?
Like you earlier said, it's all about noise, noise, noise. And that's one. At the end of the day, all these figures, all these claims will make meaning only if you relate it to the standard of life of the ordinary Nigerians. And let's face it, it's been going down and down and down. According to the IMF, the level of Nigerians living below the poverty line will rise to about 143 million at the end of 2025. That is saying more than 1/2 of the Nigerian population will be living in poverty. So all these claims about foreign exchange, about liberalizing the business environment does not make any meaning. We also know that many businesses have left Nigeria. I have seen online some claims about 7 million businesses closing down. Cost of living is very, very high. Cost of facilities, electricity, that is power, and so on. Power generation is down. I mean, all these claims, and then, of course, if you notice, all the claims are suffused with Mr. President, his high, unprecedented emergence. All this, you know, we are building a cult of personality. We are talking as if we are dealing with an emperor, and people are supposed to be happy and grateful to God for his gift. Look, at the end of the day, how has the standard of living of the Nigerian improved? Of course, you talk of improvement in security. Where is it? Let's see it on ground. Boko Haram is making a resurgence in the northeast. In the northwest, banditry has devastated communities. In the north central, we still have clashes, and they're expanding. New groups are emerging. I mean, the security forces are doing as well as they can, but we're saying it's not nearly enough. We need different strategies, because at the end of the day, people are still feeling insecure, and they are insecure. So let's forget about the personality cult we are trying to paint. Let me give you an example with the 2025 budget, for example. Just as an example of how governance is being abandoned in favor of propaganda. Okay? There are several, I have read online, several provisions for the provision of street light. Each one 266 million naira to be provided. Come on, a street light, 266 million each. I mean, it's incredible. Look at I've seen an analysis of the budget further. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has proposed 300 million for support to IDPs in the Northeast. What happens to the Northeast Development Commission and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? You go to the office of the SGF, there is a provision of 150 million for the supply of furniture to palaces of royal fathers. I mean, for God's sake, let's stop playing politics with each other. Let's stop the head in the sun strategy. You hide your face and so on. This economy is not doing well. No matter what the propaganda is, at the end of the day, you and I, has our standard of living improved? Access to education, access to health care. So we have to be honest with ourselves. By denying that there are problems, we'll never get to the solution.
All right. Prof, let's put your criticism of the administration in proper context and, by weighing it with the position of the ACF under the former administration. The reports are available to show that, in fact, the ACF disagreed with the Northern Elders Forum on the decision to back former President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term. The Northern Elders Forum had, complained bitterly that the former president didn't solve the issues of poverty and underdevelopment in the north, and had in fact wasted 6 months at the beginning of his first term in constituting a cabinet. But the ACF nonetheless disagreed with the Northern Elders Forum and went on, to back former president for a second term. So by that, some would say that the ACF is inconsistent, with its criticism of administrations in terms of real issues of development. And this may, in fact, be born out of the fact that the current administration is led by a Southerner. How do you respond?
Let me make a correction. The ACF has never come out to support any presidential candidate or party. Let me repeat. What you are saying is contrary to my records. It is not in ACF tradition to support any party openly. Rather, we concentrate on politics. I don't know where you got your data, but that is different from what I have. On the other hand, ACF has stayed neutral by analyzing issues and presenting it. Maybe it's another northern organization we are talking of, not the ACF. Certainly, it's a consultative forum.
But here's a report. There's a report here by Mr. Abdullahi of the ACF, perhaps not under your own service as spokesperson of the forum. But you can go ahead with your answer.
I'm not aware. I have not seen your report. I cannot refute it. But to the best of my knowledge, I can't think of any Abdullahi who did that on behalf of ACF. What I know is consistently and steadfastly, ACF refused to endorse any candidate. Again, please check to make sure it is ACF. There are so many northern-based organizations, but I can assure you ACF has not, and I had never and will not openly support any candidate or party directly. No. In fact, during the build-up to the 2023 elections, the ACF invited all the major contenders. Some came, others refused to come. And of course, I think it was a different northern organization that came out in support of one of the candidates, but please, not the ACF. I would very much like to see your report and assess it. But in fact, again, I have looked at the history of the ACF. I don't know of any Abdullahi. Of course, people can speak and say they're speaking as members of ACF, but that doesn't mean they are. That's the official position of the ACF. Again, I insist, ACF has never come out to support the former president. On the other hand, in fact, the former president had a very, very clear disdain for the ACF and did everything he could to keep a distance away from the ACF.
All right.
Again, please check your thoughts very well.
All right. Well, of course, it's an ongoing conversation, and perhaps you would want to also scour through reports of the media to find that indeed there's such reports to that effect. But let's come to Mr. Ayala now and get your last words on this particular conversation. Specifically now, the continuing, endorsements and alliances, with the All Progressives Congress. And we've seen, a latest move, by another chieftain of the PDP, who was a former critic of the administration, who now is aligning with the policies of the government and, in fact, making a case for Mr. President. If you watched our sister program yesterday, you would see, comments made by a chieftain of the PDP, Mr. Segun Showumi. And he, in fact, referred to the possibility of having been invited to the villa to meet with the president during the Salah celebration. Now, does this prove, by any chance, reports and suggestions that the administration is coercing members of the opposition party to its side in form of alignments with the 2027 ahead of the 2027 general election? Honorable Ayala.
Well, I think from day one, the economic policy and all of the things the president has promised to deliver on, he has just been doing just that. And Mr. Geoffrey just reeled out the benefit, the dividend, how we've been, our foreign reserve is going high, and then, of course, we are top on security. The president is top on infrastructure. He's giving the necessary leverage, enabling environment for private sectors to thrive. And then today, we don't have fuel queues and all that. Now, what more of a testimony, what more do we need as Nigerians? I mean, any Nigerian that is interested in making the country to work, since Mr. President is doing exactly what he ought to do in order to ensure that we are making progress. I mean, naturally, people who love this country will not just be in the armchair, I mean, will just perpetually be critics.
All right. We must thank you, gentlemen. We're running out of time already, but we've had Mr. Rambi Ayala, APC Chieftain in Gombe State and former chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party, Gombe State. We've also had on this segment Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba, a spokesperson of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the program.
Well, yes, if we call it casually, Mr. President is...
All right. Pardon me, Mr. Ayala. Of course, we'll definitely have more time in the future to continue this critical conversation. We'll take a break now. When we return, it'll be time to look at developments in the oil sector. Stay with us for this. We'll be right back.